When we combine all these individual bills together, regulations, fines, it's easy to see that as a nation, we're having more and more of our rights chipped away. When we look across society today, and all of these new bills that are getting pushed through, even the ones over the last 5 years, it's painting a very big picture of our rights in the future as citizens of this country. Today, however, we are here united to raise awareness of the Children's Wellbeing in Schools Bill, and I'm going to discuss that before I pass you over to Ruth, who will be focusing on fight school fines, and how this bill will affect all parents, while highlighting that the current school fines disproportionately affect the working and middle classes. The current fines are pocket change to the upper class, while they can mean the difference between eating and eating for the majority of the working class. They're not just given for term time holidays, much as the media likes to push that narrative, but children's mental health, disabilities and complex mental health concerns, and complex medical health concerns, and children that are even just too scared to go to school because of what they're enduring there. There's a multitude of reasons why children do not get into school, and that is what we're all here trying to raise awareness of today. So the leaflets available listing the reasons why we oppose the bill. Feel free to take a couple with you so you can hand them out. I will quickly run through the key points of why we oppose this bill, and then allow Ruth to speak on behalf of Fight School Fine. From a parent's perspective, the long-term benefits of this bill. Can everyone hear me okay, yeah? From a parent's perspective, the long-term benefits of this bill, the government, will be seen as an attempt to increase control and surveillance over children and families. Not only that, but it doesn't actually provide any real changes that would directly benefit the children who need it most. In fact, it's going to stretch the services further without even trying to wallpaper over the cracks. Our current education system fails families across the nation on a daily basis, whether it's the same community struggling for support, lingering on waiting lists, or the children stuck in schools that cannot actually meet the EHCP the child was given. And they are the lucky ones that can actually get a school space. There are many children across England whose parents cannot find a space in a school that can meet the children's educational needs. Across the West, we also have one of the highest rates of bullying. Over recent years, this has escalated, and teachers genuinely can no longer say, hand on heart, that they can safeguard our children adequately while they are in their presence. I've seen at least 4 to 5 stabbings reported in the news this year alone, and they've taken place within school settings. And we're only at the beginning of March. I think that's atrocious in 3 months for this country. 4 to 5 stabbings in the news that have taken place within school grounds. It's just shocking. And these are just some of the cracks we need to be repairing as a nation before we ever consider bringing in a bill that removes parents' rights to put their child's well-being first. In 2021, the National Literacy Trust estimated that there were 7.1 million illiterate adults in the UK, and that 14.9% of adults over 18 have literacy levels at or below entry level 3. In 2022, 1 in 4 left primary school unable to read. In the average class size of 30, that's 7 to 8 kids per class that will leave school unable to read. This means the average reading age of adults in the UK is 9 to 11 years old after 13 years in mainstream education. And now they're trying to force as many children back into mainstream as possible. And clearly, mainstream can't cope with the children we've already got. But this sadly means that many of those adults will have difficulty understanding health information, legal documents, bills such as the Children's Wellbeing in Schools Bill, and they gain their understanding of these issues as a result, primarily from headlines across newspapers, magazines, online social media campaigns. And despite being aware that mainstream media is very much controlled and has its own version provided through mainstream education. Too many of our working class children are not being adequately prepared for their adult lives as a result. Most of the parents who've approached online to discuss the bill have been in that position. As soon as you suggest them opening the bill and reading it, they say, I can't understand that. After 30 years of mainstream education, you should be able to open the bill, read it and understand what they're reading. But they have no idea of the legalese inside and they can't understand it. So, unable to understand the language and legal jargon used, unable to see every word in the bill are carefully chosen and sentences carefully phrased. Let's be honest, in the UK, schools don't spend enough time covering our legal rights system. They regularly tell us there's no money to repair this fact in the education system. So much so, they brought in the DFE safety valve scheme, basically providing county councils with the opportunity to have debts they owe to the government written off if they spend less on SEND resources and provisions. And they literally bribe every county with that. You can have your debts wiped off as long as you stop spending money and invest the money into SEND reform and care. It's absolutely shocking and disgusting. But luckily not every county signed up, however sadly more didn't. Yet recently it came out that British Citizen found that magic money tree. Well, with 90 million, plus 600 million, may I add, for a social media campaign. So I'm sure we can expect to see more of where that came from, funneled into the education of our children, and provide resources. Maybe even fixing the crumbling school buildings. I mean, that could have been 90 million towards SEND reform, safeguarding measures in schools, improving the curriculum, looking into options such as the Finnish model, for example, to improve engagement and retention. That 90 million would have been invested into the very children she's supposed to be caring for, the very children she has a duty of care to. Instead, it went on a social media campaign to make her look good. I think it's shocking. School avoidance is on the rise, children's mental health at concerning levels. In 2023, 20.3% of children aged 8 to 16 had a probable mental health condition. That is 1 in 5. 7% of those children were not receiving appropriate intervention at an early enough age. Young Minds wrote in an article online that the education system has a significant impact on young people's mental health, but more than half is negatively affected by this place of education. And obviously this stems from various factors, such as bullying, behavioural management and academic pressure. These are all concerns that need addressing before we remove the rights of parents. Parents have when it comes to their children's education. One of my children, my eldest two are in their 20s now, was actually attacked with a knife in school, and it was one of the scariest experiences of my life. We had no support from the school the entire time my child was being terrorised, because that's what it was, he was being terrorised. I completely lost faith in the school system safeguarding my children, and he registered them immediately. And obviously, I'm a qualified teacher, so that was a huge step for any teacher to take. If this bill is genuinely about the well-being of our children, they've already been addressing that was a huge step for any teacher to take. If this bill is genuinely about the well-being of our children, they've already been addressing that was a huge step for any teacher to take. If this bill is genuinely about the well-being of our children, they've already been addressing please. So, let's tear apart this bill a bit more. The bill brings in an era of expanded government and paves the way, and paves the way, and paves the way, and paves the way.
With the schools bill. Down with the schools bill. Down with the schools bill. Stay with us. They agree that the schools bill is fundamentally flawed and they are wanting to fight it in the House of Lords on our behalf. So we cheer those members of the House of Lords who stand with freedom and the law of the land that protects parental autonomy. And we boo those who challenge that because they do not realize that their very own freedoms are being taken away and those of their children. They must read the schools bill in its entirety to understand that it takes away complete autonomy of a parent. It is wrong and it is illegal. In 2011, in a High Court case, the judge said it is the parents' right to choose the education for their children, not the state. There are already protections in place to protect children who are vulnerable, like Sarah Sharif. There are social services who have powers to take children away. Those protections are in place, but they fail children like Sarah Sharif. It has nothing to do with home education. It is a lie and a disingenuous way of trying to curb our freedoms. That is how dishonest this government is, and we must fight it. We must stand together and fight this massive injustice.
The schools bill. Why we oppose the children's bill? Parental rights are under attack. Threat to our educational freedom is under attack. Mass surveillance and data collection of our children. The criminalization of parents and the increased risk for vulnerable children. The bill endangers children by increasing the risk of data leaks, potentially exposing sensitive information to known abusers. Families escape domestic abuse would face additional burdens, as increased registration and monitoring creates extra hurdles during an already difficult time. Instead of protecting vulnerable children, the bill will actually make it harder for families to find safety and rebuild their lives. Why we oppose the children's bill? Mandatory local authority registration for home educators. Children treat all parents as potential risks. Parents may need local authority consent to withdraw their children from school, undermining their right to choose the best education path. School attendance orders could force children into school, even when home education is effective. Threat to educational freedom. The bill could enforce a state-approved curriculum, restricting child-led learning and faith-based education. Local authorities would gain excessive control. Academies must follow the national curriculum, reducing flexibility and innovation in the education system. Mass surveillance and data collection. This would ensure that the bill introduces unique child identifiers, enabling government tracking across multiple agencies. Increased data sharing risks wrongful intervention, state intrusion, and privacy breaches. Critics warn this sets a dangerous precedent for normalizing government monitoring of family life. Non-compliance with registration or attendance orders could result in fines or legal penalties. Stricter financial oversight may force independent schools to close, limiting alternative to state education. We must oppose the children's bill. 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 We must oppose the children's bill.
Thank you.
Just educate! Don't overregulate! Just educate!
Hey, Bridget, leave our kids alone! 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 Fix the schools! Fix the schools! Leave home educators alone! Fix the schools! Fix the schools! Fix the schools! Leave home ed alone, yeah?
Yeah.
Fix the schools! Leave home ed alone! Fix the schools!